Hello everyone and welcome back to The Spotlight. Today we're going to be talking about why Ellen is impossible to work with. Ellen DeGeneres is known for her fun personality and the never-ending excitement on her show. When you watch Ellen do what she loves best, it's easy for anyone to think that she's probably a pretty nice person, as she seems to be on air. However, there are some recent tweets which beg to differ. Numerous people have stepped forward to display their personal experiences with Ellen's mean side. Meché. A certain Twitter user had exposed some juicy news which she claimed to have gotten from celebrity stylist Meché while making her hair. This user asked about which celebrities were the nicest at the shop and which were the meanest. Well, the supposed reply from Meché included a list of Julia Roberts, Cameron Diaz, and Rita Wilson at the top of her nice list. Well, guess who made the naughty list? That's right, Ellen DeGeneres and Charlize Theron were the worst to have come into the shop. Reports like this usually sound concrete evidence to cement Ellen as a completely different person than what we see on her show. Kathy Griffin. The feud between Kathy Griffin is arguably one of the most outspoken arguments which Ellen has had over the years. Kathy and Ellen can't seem to agree on anything, and their feud was inevitable. The feud began when Kathy made mention of Ellen in her tell-all book dubbed Kathy Griffin's Celebrity Run-Ins, My A to Z Index. In the book, Kathy failed to mention Ellen directly in her book, but gave a good enough description. She said that she was almost positive a certain beloved daytime talk show host once had her kicked out of a backstage dressing room at the Emmy Awards. Going further to fuel speculation, she continued by saying even though she couldn't prove it, this person who has short blonde hair had a mean streak that all of Hollywood knew about.
My very last dinner with Joan Rivers, we would always check in with each other, and I'd be like, where are you with Ellen? And she'd be like, oh, still hates me. And she'd go, well, what about you? And I'd say, oh, she thinks I'm mean.
Being clean around Ellen. When coming into close contact with Ellen, there are two simple rules to follow. Look great and smell fresh all the time. Yes, we mean literally all the time. According to a member on her crew, Ellen demands that everyone around her smells as fresh as a mint. And if you think I'm joking, wait till you hear this. Ellen literally leaves a bowl of mint for her staff to pick out from, and if she doesn't still feel like it's enough, you'll be sent away to freshen up. Sometimes she even makes some of her employees go home to shower before being able to return to set. Wow, I mean, talk about standards. This means Ellen must only have clean and fresh-smelling people around her at every point in time. I'm guessing it is a pet peeve of hers, but we have to consider it a humongous pet peeve if she can't even continue the show without it. This hasn't been the only time where Ellen has seemed to have problems with the cleanliness of the people around her. According to another tweet by a waitress that was serving Ellen at a restaurant, the waitress was fired because she had chipped nail polish on her finger. Apparently, Ellen went out of her way to file a complaint of the uncleanliness of the waitress, even though the chipped nail polish was only on her finger, not on the food. Sequin portrait. Ellen presented Oprah with a great present for her 60th birthday. It was a sequin portrait that was very beautiful. It was a massive portrait made entirely of sparkling sequins. Ellen went ahead to display it on her show, talking about how difficult it was to make, and claimed that the talk show host would have to pick it up because it was a bit too heavy to ship. It all made for a great episode, but the real problem was that Ellen didn't make the portrait herself. The sequin portrait was actually made by Gail Nerva. The artist had made two portraits, one of Ellen and one of Oprah Winfrey. It was the same portrait that Ellen had claimed to make for Oprah by herself. Not only did Ellen do this, but she also failed to give the artist any credit for the work. For some particular reason, she had decided to completely ignore the talent that had produced such a beautiful masterpiece. Firing her staff. One of the most disturbing stories was about a woman who worked for Ellen that was returning from maternity leave. After working for Ellen for over 5 years, this woman claimed she found a different job with more benefits after having her baby, but went back to Ellen after Ellen begged her to return. Then what happened? Ellen fired her the week after. It's also worth noting that she probably wouldn't have received any benefits from her former employer. Who knows what exactly went down here, but it definitely seems shady. This is actually a much bigger deal when you think of how much it cost the nursing mother. That's not the only story about her allegedly screwing over a longtime loyal employee either. Someone pointed out that Karen Kilgariff, best known as the co-host of My Favorite Murder, was the head writer on Ellen's show for years, until the historic writer's strike of 2007. Allegedly, Ellen wanted Karen to cross the picket line and come back to work, but she refused. In response, the tweet claims that Ellen fired her, and the two have never spoken since. That's really a lot. Bad behavior to staff and crew. Writer and comedian Benjamin Seaman came armed with several bits of Ellen tea, also claiming that she likes to pick someone different to really hate every day. Reportedly, she always has a different target of choice, and then the next day she'll just move on to someone else. At the very least, this is a textbook toxic boss behavior, and it's easy to see why working for her could be a nightmare if this stuff is true. According to a Twitter user, some friends who work or have worked on her show said many of her staff members weren't allowed to be in the same room as her. This tweet was particularly disturbing and seemed to have been backed by tweets from other users. Apparently, she only wants a professional relationship with anyone who's working for her. Other tweeters got their information through other television shows that they have worked on, each of them accusing Ellen of bad behavior towards staff, quick temper, and frequent tantrums. Another terrible restaurant experience included a story when she threw a plate of salmon into a waiter's face because it wasn't what she ordered. Ellen, a staunch vegetarian, appeared to have multiple negative run-ins with waitstaff, with one Twitter user claiming that the talk show host threw a plate of salmon at her friend because it wasn't what she ordered. This clearly isn't the kind of behavior that anyone's daytime talk show host should be displaying. Anyone could easily have sent back the order without having to cause a scene. Comedian Josh Levesque wrote to Porter explaining that a friend of his had worked as a production assistant for The Ellen Show during a time when actor Russell Brand was set to appear as a guest. Brand allegedly came to the employee break area to chat with the crew and hang out, but then Ellen came in and got mad at him. Apparently Ellen told the Get Him to the Greek star that he didn't have to interact with these people, and that's why guests have their own area backstage, defending her friends. The sight of Ellen, an LGBTQ icon, befriending a president who refused to acknowledge and properly classify LGBTQ hate crimes, seemed very much at odds with Ellen's publicly stated values. The countless innocents slaughtered during the Iraq War, along with fallen U.S. soldiers who were apparently no match for the power of Ellen and George's friendship, forged in the private seats of a Dallas Cowboys game. A lot of people are still unclear as to what Ellen's real choice of friends are, but she has made it obvious that the best way to get along with her is to also maintain great relationships with her friends.